This is Sudden Wealth Radio, the first and only broadcast that explores the financial, tax, legal, and psychological issues of sudden wealth. Your host, Robert Pagliarini, is the nation's leading sudden wealth financial advisor who has earned a national reputation for working with clients who have received windfall from inheritance, divorce, lawsuit, business sale, sports entertainment contracts, stock options, and the lottery. You may have seen Robert on Dr. Phil, Good Morning America, 2020, Katie Couric, or others. And now, here's your host of Sudden Wealth Radio, Robert Pagliarini.
Today I'm going to talk about some of the most common mistakes that I see sudden wealth recipients make. So I've been working with clients for almost 2 decades now, and I've seen patterns of thinking and patterns of behavior that are not conducive to financial health. When someone knows that they're going to be getting a large windfall, they will often make one or more of these mistakes. And so I've broken it down into probably the 6 most common, and I'm going to go through them pretty quickly only because I wrote about them on Forbes, and I'll put a link up to that. I would say the first mistake that people tend to make is they feel this need to start making decisions regarding their life, regarding what to do with their money, when they really don't need to. There will, of course, be some tax, financial, and legal decisions that they may have to make right away. Often, advisors will say that, don't make any decisions for the first 6 months. And, I think that's actually a mistake. Definitely there will be some decisions that you'll have to make. I suggest working with your advisors, asking them, what are the minimum amount of decisions that I really need to make? Let's make those, and then you can hit the pause button. Once you've dealt with the tax and legal and financial things, then you can sit back and just relax, take a deep breath, and really just sort of sink into this new opportunity that you have. Think about what you want to do with your life. Think about what you want to do with the money, but don't make any of those decisions yet. What I suggest to clients is create a wish list of all the things that you may want to do with the money, that you may want to do with your life. Don't make any decisions, but just simply write it down, sit with it, revisit it, and after 4 or 5 or 6 months, maybe even a year, revisit it and figure out if what you wrote down is really what you want to do, and then you can start to prioritize some of those things. So first mistake, don't make too many decisions. The second that goes along really closely with number 1 is spending money. People get the windfall and then they just want to start spending it. They want to buy a new house. They want to do an upgrade to their house. They want to buy a new car. Whatever it is, this compulsion to just start spending it as soon as they have it. And again, you want to sit back, evaluate really how much money you have, how much you can afford to spend before you start spending anything. The third thing that I see often is that people will start to promise things or make commitments to other people once they know that they're getting this sudden wealth. You see this a lot, whether it's a lottery or it's a sports contract, where in the excitement of this sudden wealth, they'll start promising friends and family things. Maybe they'll say that they'll buy someone a new house, or they'll buy a new car, or they'll pay for their niece's college tuition. Whatever it is, these are great things that you may be able to do, but in the heat of the moment, I would say resist making any sort of promise. You want to work with your advisors. You want to find out exactly how much money that you have. You may have to pay taxes. You may have to pay certain legal fees. So there are certain expenses that you have that's going to limit how much money you have and how much really you can afford to do. So don't make any commitments or promises until you really know that you can follow through on them. The next mistake I see often, and it's even more prevalent now with social media, is that people want to share their news. It's natural. You're excited. You want to tell people about it. You want to share the good news with them. And I really think this is a mistake. I think keep your sudden wealth, keep your finances as private as you possibly can. Share with maybe one or two people that you really trust. And other than that, nobody else needs to know. Because as soon as people start finding out, many of them will be very happy for you and they'll congratulate you. But others will start giving you unsolicited advice. They'll start telling you what you should do with your money. They may even start asking you for money. So avoid all of that and just share with a couple of people that you know. Another, I don't know if you could call this a mistake, but another thing that I've seen in the past is, a sudden wealth event can be very exciting, but it can also create a tremendous amount of anxiety because there's so many decisions. It's such a new thing for people that they can become overwhelmed. And what some people do is they freeze and they kind of retreat. They stop doing the things that once gave them pleasure. They stop hanging out with friends and getting together with family. They're just so overwhelmed by the situation that they just want to sort of bury their head in the sand. And that's not a good idea because often they will also stop going to their advisors, stop cancel meetings and things like that. And those meetings are extremely important. And so you don't want to retreat. If you can find a friend or family member, a confidant, partner with them, but don't fully retreat. It can be extremely overwhelming, and that's why it's important to have somebody to talk to. And if you don't have somebody to talk to a therapist. Hire a therapist to see them once or twice a week, to just share with them what you're going through, to unload some of the pressure that you may be facing onto somebody else and just sort of talk it through. And the last thing that I don't see that often, but it can happen, and when it does, it really creates a lot of problems, and that's why I have it here. And that is sometimes because people are so overwhelmed and just so anxious with everything, that they not only retreat, but then they'll start to self-medicate. They'll start drinking more heavily, or they maybe start doing drugs, things like that. And of course, this is the worst thing that you can do. With a sudden wealth event, you want to be in top shape. You want to be in top mental form. And if you start drinking or you start doing drugs, it's just can put you on a downward spiral. So these are some of the common things that I've seen in working with sudden wealth recipients. There's certainly ways to lessen the amount of anxiety, to lessen the feeling of being overwhelmed, to really look at sudden wealth as not this burden, but as an opportunity. I think in the media there's lots of reports that there's someone wins the lottery and then it's just, it's all these problems that can happen. And sure, that does happen, but there are ways to avoid that. Sudden wealth, a windfall, can be a tremendous opportunity if you approach it correctly. So do your best to avoid some of these common mistakes that I've seen, and really try to enjoy your wealth and help it and use it to create really the best life possible for yourself. So until next time, thank you so much.
This was Sudden Wealth Radio. If you feel overwhelmed because of a recent windfall or are looking for better strategies to grow your assets, Robert and his firm have developed a national reputation for providing financial planning and investment management to clients globally. They are more than happy to answer any questions, big or small. So if you have a question about how they work or a question about your own situation, go to www.pacificawealth.com or email Robert directly at robert@pacificawealth.com.